Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
HD2 Bridgeport, ESPN Radio. This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
Live from downtown Syracuse, it's the Burdick Toyota pregame show. The penultimate regular season game for Syracuse has arrived, and it's their fourth consecutive Quad 1 opportunity as they fly down to the Bluegrass State to take on the 24th-ranked Louisville Cardinals. On CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio, call in, tell us what you want to see tonight. Guys, do me a favor and actually call in. Let's have some conversation because this game really doesn't matter. Let's just be frank. Syracuse men's basketball taking on the 24th team in the land. And we all know what the end result will be tonight, but there's a lot to talk about in terms of the context of Syracuse University and Syracuse athletics taking the right step in the right direction. But for the sake of talking about this game, Syracuse down in the Bluegrass State in the KFC Yum Center, a Louisville squad that's been revitalized over the past couple of years with new head coach Pat Kelsey. Syracuse, take your notes, just saying. And a 9 p.m. tip-off on the ACC network. Anytime Syracuse is on a linear TV, it usually doesn't go very well. I'm just going to be frank there. And, the betting books certainly reflect a similar mentality. Louisville, despite their best player being announced out due to a back injury just hours ago, the books have not changed. Louisville remain 12.5-point favorites per ESPN bet. And the ESPN predictor reflects a similar end scenario. Louisville, 92.2% chance of winning tonight. So I'm not great at math, but that means 7.8% chance for Syracuse. Just to overview the contest, the Cuse 15-14 overall, looking to stay above 500 on the season. They are 6-10 in the ACC, 13th in the conference, and a net of 79. So for Louisville, this is a quad 3 opportunity. Riveting. And number 24, Louisville, 20-9 on the year, 9-7 in the ACC, and a net of 17. For Syracuse, looking to snap a 3-game skid, one of the main storylines I wrote this morning was Syracuse has to win one of their next 2 games to get into the ACC tournament. That is no longer true. Syracuse is confirmed to be in the ACC tournament regardless of how these next 2 games go, and it was mainly because they had to play Pitt to finish the season. That's this next game coming up. A little regular season matchup with a lowly Pitt squad that will be heading into the Dome to finish off the season. And Pitt was that last team on the cut line. So in a scenario where Pitt won out and Syracuse didn't, maybe Pitt would have snuck in. But no longer the case. Syracuse in the ACC tournament. Let's go, guys. Everyone, put your hands together. Syracuse snuck in. So they will finish in the top 15 in the conference at the very least. Right now they sit at 13. But again, back to the main storyline, kind of the thing that's hovering over not just this contest, but the entire season. And it's that this season has been over for a long time now. They're amidst a 3-game skid where they had 2, at least before the season, 2 games where they realistically could have walked away with a close victory, a competitive one at that, with an injured North Carolina squad. If you asked me before the beginning of the season, considering the talent Syracuse had in their roster, I would have said, yeah, they would have had a real chance of beating North Carolina at home on the back end of the ACC season, and they got demolished. Actually lost worse than when they played North Carolina in Chapel Hill. And then they just lost on the road at Wake Forest, which is quite literally the easiest quad 1 opportunity you can get in the entire country. So they had a gimme. They had a gimme in their back pocket to walk away with 2 quad 1 wins on a season that's otherwise been a wash, and they still couldn't do it. They looked downright putrid, as a matter of fact. And I mean, I can talk about Syracuse's poor performance on the ACC road schedule till the cows come home. But no longer important for tonight as we turn our heads to the next matchup against Louisville. Again, Louisville without their best player, freshman guard Michael Brown Jr. is out with a back injury. But for the context of the season, it is worth noting Syracuse has finally taken the first step in the chain of dominoes toward replacing Adrian Autry. Before this pregame show, they needed a new chancellor. That chancellor needed to hire a new AD, and then that AD will hire a new head coach. Well, we have taken the first couple of steps. Mike Haney was announced today as the university's soon-to-be 13th chancellor. He was previously serving as the university's vice chancellor, so talking about the whole in-family, out-of-family hiring situation. Well, we know how the academia feels when it comes to hiring in family. They keep it in family for the first time. This is the first internal promotion since 1971 for Syracuse University. Haney is a respected scholar, an Air Force vet. I myself am not a respected scholar. I had like a 3 GPA in college, but he certainly seems like a good hire. That's my opinion. So props to Syracuse University on getting a new chancellor. He certainly seems to be an athletic-aligned chancellor. And so he will help with this next step of hiring a new athletic director. Matt Norlander of CBS Sports published a report yesterday stating that Syracuse is likely to announce the hire of their new AD by Tuesday, March 10th. So on the date of when Syracuse plays in the first round and in all likelihood could lose in the first round of the ACC tournament on March 10th is when the new AD will be hired. Perhaps that AD will step into their role and immediately announce the firing of Adrian Autry. And I'm not saying that in, a manner with a lack of feel, but we all know the fact of the matter is Autry will go, and it will be sooner rather than later. And in all likelihood, it may actually be a little bit after the final game of the season because this new athletic director will still be kind of warming up their seat per se. But it is worth noting that that is what exactly happened to Boeheim when he lost to Wake Forest in the first round of the ACC tournament 3 years ago, except, of course, that was a mutual decision. But we knew that afternoon after he lost to Wake Forest on like a buzzer beater too, that he was done. So we can open up that conversation if you guys want to call in and talk about athletic directors. I know Tim Leonard talked about it a little bit on Drive Time yesterday. His main pick is Nick Carparelli. I love that. It's something that I certainly agree with. He's the director of bowl season, an SU grad, spent a couple of years as a GA under Coach P for Syracuse football in the 90s, and he's worked his way up really high on the chain for some class organizations. He was high up with the Big East, New England Patriots, Under Armour, likely the youngest, most aggressive AD option we can get. But let's switch the conversation back to basketball. I mean, whatever it is, whoever they bring in will have to be basketball focused as soon as they make it to Syracuse, considering the state of the program as we speak. But how about we look back at fonder times? And for this, I'm going to slow things down. I'm going to bring in the chorus, okay? And we're going to talk about much, much better times. And I'm not sure if I'm getting it in my headset or not. So hopefully I've got this sad music playing out over the air. But let's see. Maybe it's in this one. Probably not. All right. Well, hopefully the fans in the airwaves are hearing some sad music that I'm playing right now, because I want to look back and get to Today in SU History, brought to you by Ferrone & Son Funeral Home, and look back at fonder times. This Day in SU Memories is brought to you by Ferrone & Son Funeral Home. Celebrate your loved one with help from Ferrone & Son Funeral Home, or plan ahead for your pre-arrangement today. Visit them at 1500 Park Street in Syracuse or at ferroneandsoninc.com. On this day, March 3rd, 2012, number 2 Syracuse, back when Syracuse was good at basketball, defeated number 18 Louisville at home 58-49 in the regular season finale. How about that? A ranked win at home. Back when late season games mattered. Back when Rick Pitino was the head coach of Louisville before some scandals. Back when Syracuse was good at basketball and all was right in the world. It was a classic low-scoring affair in a brisk evening in upstate New York, and a crowd of 33,203 crazed Orange fans who bleed orange packed into the Dome back when the Dome didn't have an AC system, and the Dome would heat up during games and push you out through those spinning doors. Brandon Trish led all scorers with 18 points, 5 of 10 shooting, 3 of 6 from downtown. How about that? A good point guard. I don't know if you guys remember what that's like. Chris Joseph with 11 points, Fab Mello with 4, Deion Waiters with 13 off the bench. This is when Syracuse was stacked every year. I'm about to name all players that were on this roster of note. Rakeem Christmas, Chris Joseph, Fab Mello, Scoop Jardine, Michael Carter-Williams, Dion Waiters, CJ Fair, Bai Musakita, and James Sutherland. If you just clump all of those players right now into just one group and you call the broad category of ACC level players, I'm not saying all ACC, but just ACC level players, like guys that are worth a starting spot on any ACC team. That's what, 10, 9 that I just listed for Syracuse right now? And this is not a direct criticism of this roster because it is a good roster, but it only takes, 5 players to really make a solid team. Syracuse put together, I guess you could say, Donnie Freeman's ACC level. Nate Kings has his moments. William Kyle plays his role really well. And after that, I don't know. It kind of runs dry, just to put it in the context of the season. So hopefully the fans heard that sad music playing out over the air as I give you guys Today in SU Memories, brought to you by Ferone & Son Funeral Home and Scene. All right, well, that's the first segment of the Burdick Toyota pregame show. Again, Syracuse taking on number 24, Louisville. We're on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio. You guys can be checking this out live. You can see my big nose and glasses on Twitch or YouTube at Cuse Sports Talk. Or, of course, you guys are listening in locally, 97.7 FM, 101.1 FM. All right, find out in the next segment when we hit our scouting report built by IKEA what we can expect out of the Cardinals. And coming up, there is one thing Syracuse needs to bring with them to the KFC Yum Center in Louisville tonight. Find out next on the Burdick Toyota pregame show. Yeah, I have no idea whether or not the sad music I played went out over the air. That'd be nice if it did. Oh, why is the computer's acting weird again? What's going on, chat? Hey, Trevor, you're like a proud mom. So I'm Rita? What's going on, Jen? Yeah, I don't really get the whole concern about like Heather Lyke and whether or not she's going to be hired. Like, obviously now, amidst the stuff that she's caught up with at Pitt, like there's absolutely no way that she gets hired. I get beforehand, like, the world where you'd imagine, because she was kind of being teed up as the next AD before Wild Hack ever left. But yeah, now it's not a concern. So, I mean, I don't think there's anyone at Syracuse currently that they would hire. Like all the good options are Syracuse grads or people that have ties to Syracuse that are currently ADs or executives elsewhere. Oh, keeps loading in over here. Weird. But yeah, what's going on, chat? I'm sure the numbers are just dwindling today because, like who really... There's really no point in caring about the team now, Yeah, Jen. Yeah, I mean, we did have that on campus with the old women's basketball coach, I guess. No place for that in Syracuse. Yeah. What's up, Darren? How you been, buddy? Yeah, guys, if you want to talk about just the state of affairs in general, we don't even need to talk basketball. 315-437-7644. Hey, KP Stash, I appreciate you, man.
Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
Chapter 2 of the Burdick Toyota pregame show. The Cuse head down to the Bluegrass State. Syracuse men's basketball back in action tonight. 9 p.m. tip-off on the ACC network, and they take on the 24th ranked team in the land, the Louisville Cardinals. I said before the break, there is one thing Syracuse needs to bring with them to the KFC Yum Center tonight, and that is their notebooks. Syracuse has got to write down and take notes on what Louisville has done with their men's basketball program. They are the perfect example of what it looks like to turn around a drowning men's basketball program in the ACC, a program that used to be successful. I myself, as a student at Virginia Tech, I graduated just a year ago. 3 years ago, on a student radio trip, paid a visit to the KFC Yum Center to call Virginia Tech at Louisville. Virginia Tech was pretty mid that year. Louisville was god-awful. And if you didn't pay attention to college basketball in general, you would have, before COVID, been like, Louisville's Louisville, NCAA tournament every year. And then if you pulled up to the KFC Yum Center like me 2 years later, you would have been rubbing your eyes like, what the hell happened? They were in an awful state. I mean, the KFC Yum Center is really, when it's packed, it's a pinnacle of college basketball, the Mecca. And it was dead in there. I mean, it felt emptier than when Syracuse had a losing season last year and then 2 years before that. Like, it felt deader than that. It was literally like I could tell whose uncle was whose, It was really, really sad a few years ago. And now they're back to national prominence. 24th ranked team in the land. They were even better last year. They only had 2 losses in the ACC last year. So how did they do it? Because just back in 2023, Louisville was in an awful state. Well, Louisville struggled in 2021 and 22 with fifth-year head coach Chris Mack. They went 13-19, so he got nixed. And they moved on to an in-family hire, very similar to Syracuse. That didn't work out. It was Kenny Payne. Kenny Payne's 2 seasons in Louisville, 4-28, 8-24. He got booted out in less than 3 seasons. So how did Louisville fix the problem? They hired a head coach who's already got a proven pedigree of bringing teams to the tournament. College of Charleston's Pat Kelsey. Kelsey ticks all of the boxes. He's a good recruiter. He's a good talker, so he brings in money. And he came from a decent mid-major, so he brought over a couple of decent players to kickstart Louisville's program back to prominence. And he's already proven to bring teams to the tournament. And I cannot stress this enough. Bringing a coach in that's already been there and done that. Very important to me, at least. So Pat Kelsey's resume is, he was a slam dunk hire for Louisville. 9 seasons at Winthrop. That's where he started his head coaching career. And from 2012 to 2021, he went 186-95 overall, 2 NCAA tournament berths, 4 Colonial Athletic Conference regular season championships. Then he got the gig at the College of Charleston and had 3 very good seasons there. 2021 to 2024, 75 and 27 overall. Back-to-back NCAA tournament berths after just missing in his first year. And Louisville's donors were so pleased with the hiring of a proven head coach, they dumped money into the program. There was one donor, it was an anonymous source, that apparently was so pleased with the hire, they themselves donated $1 million. Just one donor, $1 million. Here you go, Pat Kelsey. I know you're a good head coach. Take care of the program for us. And man, did he recruit his butt off. But again, that one box that he really ticked for me was that he came from a mid-major, and this isn't the most important thing in the world, but he came from a mid-major that had a couple of ACC-ready players, and they ended up being really key to the team in his first year in Louisville. He brought over forward James Scott from the College of Charleston, 7.1 points per game, 6.1 rebounds. He was a focal point of the paint for them. And then he brought over guard Rain Smith, who averaged 13.1 points per game and was also one of the best three-point shooters in the entire conference. So that's two players right there. That's 2/3 of your starting lineup that are ACC ready. So Pat Kelsey was a slam dunk for Louisville. Checks all the boxes. NIL support, bringing over talent, elite recruiter, bright offensive and defensive mind, and that's been proven. Louisville is, when we look at the scouting report built by IKEA, good on both sides of the ball. This is proof that you don't need someone from the school or tied to the school to get a coach that embraces the school's brand and revives their basketball program. So in case you can't tell, and I'm not saying Mike Hopkins or Jerry McNamara wouldn't be a good hire, but in case you can't tell, I myself see no point in risking hiring a coach that isn't necessarily as proven as another just because they're familiar with Syracuse. So that's where I stand in the whole situation. Now let's get to the scouting report on Louisville, built by IKEA. Everything you need from IKEA is now at Destiny USA. Go check it out and dream the possibilities at your new IKEA Syracuse. Main scouting report item here is Michael Brown Jr. is out. Probably the best player on the team for Louisville. He's the team leader in assists, 10th in the ACC, 4.7 assists per game. Also second on the team in scoring, marginally, only 0.3 worse than the next best scorer. 8th in the ACC with 18.2 points per game. When you talk about the playing style of this team, if you guys want to dig into X's and O's, very fun team to watch. Up-tempo, guard-driven, three-point heavy. Best offense in the ACC, 86 points per game. Fourth in the ACC in three-point shooting, 35.8% clip from beyond the arc. And they shoot a lot of three-pointers, too. They have a big air attack. First in the ACC with 32.9 three-point attempts per game. They shoot a ton of threes. When it comes to the defense, well, Pat Kelsey's one of those guys that was definitely a defense as an attitude type of person. Heavy on ball pressure, big on shot contesting. Really nothing special, just a very sound defense. They're 8th in scoring defense in the ACC, so middle of the pack. But when you look at defensive efficiency, they're 4th in the ACC and actually top 50 in the country in defensive efficiency. Just to dig into the stats there in Louisville. Their one weakness worth noting, really, if we want to talk about how Syracuse can win this game, which is not necessarily number one on my grocery list right now, Louisville doesn't generate a ton of turnovers, which helps Syracuse, a team that can be turnover prone. So, yeah, Louisville, 12th in the ACC with just plus 0.2 turnover margin. So they pretty much give up as many turnovers as they create. So moving forward, what the heck can the Cuse do to pull off the upset tonight? Well, stick around and find out in the next segment where we'll hit our Krause Hospital injury report and keys to the game. Again, I'm Kyle Marchak hanging out with you on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio. We'll be back in a moment.
This is Orange Nation.
Oh, hi, Annie. Tell the boys I said hi. I don't know where my mom is today. You know, honestly, my mom's probably given up on the program, too, at this point. Could be the correct coach, but he still cannot put up the amount up. Can you not put up what you do? Knower's gonna put up $1 million if the right coach is hired. How much you want to bet it will be the wrong coach? It's tough because, I mean, I honestly think like Syracuse really can't go wrong because even if they don't get Brian Hodgson, there are a couple other guys that like I still think are slam dunk hires because all they need is a mid-major head coach who is proven to recruit well and bring a team to the NCAA tournament. Like it's as simple as that. And there are several coaches like that in all likelihood are able to get out of their contract. Let me pull up my list because there were like Casey Alexander at Belmont, for example, like he's about to win his conference. I think it's the MVC. Like if you can't get Hodgson, which is like all we're talking about is Brian Hodgson, then I mean, I think Casey Alexander is still a slam dunk. But we can keep going down the list, too. Like, Syracuse is competing with LSU and Ohio State. You know, so who knows what schools they can get. Like, I'd imagine LSU would be very attractive to a guy like Brian Hodgson. Hi, boys. I bet they're huge now, Annie. Oh, there's my mom. Hi, Mom. I mean, it's not, yeah, it still could be Red Autry. That would suck. Keep going down the list. Down the list of like coaches or schools. If the boys are interested in who will replace Adrian Autry as the head coach of Syracuse men's basketball, maybe they become Syracuse basketball fans just by proxy, I guess. But when I was taking care of the boys, schools. The schools competing for Brian Hodgson, who's a potential hire for Syracuse men's basketball. There's LSU, Ohio State. What else is about to open up? Memphis, Cincinnati. There are a couple other big ones that I'm forgetting. But while you're here, actually, I can tell the boys I actually literally just landed a job in Arkansas. Not necessarily public yet, but I don't really care. Louisville and Syracuse played an epic 6 overtime game in the 2009 Big East tournament quarterfinals, which is the longest game in Big East history and one of the longest in NCAA history. Another key ties that former Louisville coach Rick Pitino is Jim Boeheim's first ever assistant. See, Mama Marchak's always bringing in the facts. Yeah, you know, some people were saying at the beginning of the year, like, oh, let's get Pitino here. It's like, no, he's too old and also doing great at St. John's. That would just never happen.
Pregame show.
Back here on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio. 97.7 FM, 100.1 FM if you're listening in Syracuse, or if you're out there in Utica. I haven't been there in a second. It's 96.5 FM. I'm curious, how many listeners do we have for the Syracuse men's basketball pregame show brought to you by Burdick Toyota out there in Utica? We get a couple of callers every once in a while from Utica, but I don't know how many are really tuning in from out there. If you are, shout out. Appreciate you for calling in and watching from the great Utica, New York. I've been there a handful of times. My brother actually used to go to Utica University. Man, that is a rugged place to go to school. Certainly a college town of all time. Not going to say it's the greatest, but it is a college town of all time. Anyways, all right, let's get back to the main thing on hand here on CuseSportsTalk.com. Hey, call in, by the way, if you want to talk shop, and we don't even have to talk basketball. Tell me what your favorite color is or something. 315-437-7644 or 315-4ESPN44. Syracuse down in the Bluegrass State tonight. They take on the 24th-ranked Louisville Cardinals. Interesting note here, Louisville obviously projected to mollywop Syracuse tonight, and this game matters less about the context of the season and more about just Syracuse saving face. And if they win tonight, they clinch at least a winning record on the year, no matter what happens in the ACC tournament. Or I guess it would be a 500 record. If they lose tonight, well, they could be really looking at a losing record, which would be quite the way to go out if you're head coach Adrian Autry. But anyways, to my point, Syracuse plus 12.5-point underdogs. And then the news comes out before the game that's Louisville's best player, the team leader in assists, second in scoring, Michael Brown Jr. is out with a back injury, official as of 4 p.m. this afternoon. And the lines have not moved, which tells you how much confidence Vegas has in Syracuse, about as much confidence as I have in Syracuse tonight. And this is not to dunk on Syracuse, but certainly a major concern that there's that little confidence. And I think I have some special callers coming in. Their names didn't pop up, but I'm getting a text right now. Guys, believe it or not, these are the kids that I used to babysit in Virginia. Someone trusted me with their children in Virginia. So let's put them on. It's William and Axel calling from Blacksburg, Virginia. You guys got me?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, boys?
We don't have any cool babysitters anymore.
There's no more
babysitters?
No more cool babysitters?
Okay, my favorite color is black. My favorite color is green.
Black and green. I love that mix. That's the colors of the school that hopefully Syracuse's new head coach is coming from.
Oh.
How are you guys doing, real quick?
Amazing. Good.
And who do you think will win tonight? Oh, you guys cut out a little bit.
What are the options?
Syracuse or Louisville?
Syracuse.
Syracuse? I love the confidence.
Syracuse.
And is that Axel that said Syracuse?
Both of us.
Okay, both you guys. You guys are smart. All right, guys. I'm going to have to let you go. Be nice to your mom and don't hit each other. All right.
Bye.
Love you guys. Bye. Oh, that's cute. That was William and Axel from Virginia. I used to babysit those kids, and they saw on my Instagram that I was live, so they decided to call in. Amazing. Well, anyways, how about that insight from William and Axel predicting that Syracuse will pull off the upset tonight? And that's exactly what we're pivoting to next, the keys to the game so that Syracuse can pull off the upset tonight. And my number one key to the game, cut off the perimeter for Louisville. The Cardinals shoot the most threes in the conference. They're fourth in three-point percentage. They live and die by the three. They have one of the best air attacks in all of college basketball. And so with that, I think they need to apply some high on-ball pressure. The Cardinals cough up 12 turnovers per game, second worst in the ACC. And, man, I can't get over that. The kids that I just babysat in Virginia called in. That was awesome. That was adorable. William and Axel, those two were a riot when I watched them. And you know what? If Syracuse had as much fight as William and Axel did, because when I babysat them, they fought each other a lot. If Syracuse has as much fight as William and Axel have, I think Syracuse would be much better off this year. Is that a fair thing to say? I guess no one else babysat William and Axel with me. I had a couple of friends watching with me once. They would know what I'm talking about. Those kids, they used to scrap. If Syracuse has the same level of energy and fight as William and Axel, I think pretty much every team with the same level as fight and energy as them, I think would be rather successful. So that brings me to my final key to the game, and I'm going to look at the camera for this one. Drum roll, please. My final key to the game for Syracuse tonight is to try. That is all. For Syracuse to try. on defense specifically. But that is my final key to the game. Let me really look at the camera because I know you guys are zooming in. It's to try. Now, I'm not a Division I college basketball player, but can you understand the frustration of the fan base when there's a palpable level of effort missing on defense especially? So let's have Syracuse try tonight. Just try. Let's have a really strong effort on defense, and you're going to need that against a team like Louisville. Okay, and we don't really have to break down the X's and O's of this game too much. It doesn't matter too much grand scheme, but we can talk about where this university is at as a whole, and just kind of tee up the rest of the game, I guess, coming up in this final segment. But again, trying on defense, I think, is the biggest thing. There's a lot of players that you could pick on when it comes to just applying the same type of pressure throughout the entire contest. I think Donnie Freeman's been getting beat a lot. There was actually one play last game where Wake Forest point guard, whose name I'm blanking on, just cruised to the rim. Just completely caught Donnie napping at the top of the key. That was frustrating, and then you go back to the North Carolina game. Nobody's diving for loose balls. Nobody's trying to box out for rebounds. They're just kind of conceding possessions after a miss. I think if there's one thing that Syracuse can control and at least try and do for the finishing stretch of this season, it's to just put a better effort out there. Because I get it. I think we've been talking about it a lot, that at this point in the season, there's a real visible lack of leadership and energy because, well, I think everyone knows the season is over. And it stinks to be in their shoes. If you put yourself in the shoes of like Donnie Freeman, for example, you come back from injury and you're a part of a roster that just picked up 2 5-star recruits, brought in 3 very strong transfers from other Power 4 schools, and you're thinking this is it? This is year 3 of the Autry project. Syracuse has put together a strong roster. I'm supposed to be kind of that main offensive output. He has a strong start to the season in the non-conference schedule, and he's thinking, man, I'm an NBA draftee. This is fantastic. And they just had bad loss after bad loss, and it's just kind of piled up on them between Hofstra and Boston College and then the 4-game losing streak with a string of quad 1 opportunities now. They're on 3 in a row as we speak, looking to prevent it from being 4. At Louisville, and that's certainly a tall task. I think tonight might be the night where we see the most clearly in Syracuse players' eyes just how defeated they are. And I'm not trying to express that to highlight the sadness of the situation. I'm bringing this up because it's important to the context of the season that we've gotten to this point. It's just important to note that Syracuse has gotten to this point where you can really see the frustration and the degradation of some of these players. Donnie Freeman earlier in the season, the Monmouth game is what I think of in the non-conference. He was really the leader of this team. Timeouts and fouls are called. He's bringing the team into huddles. He's yelling at the players. He's barking at everyone. He's keeping everyone engaged. Those are some of the subjective, intangible factors of leadership that have great effects on a team. And right now, even Autry has begun to speak about himself in the past tense as the head coach of Syracuse. And it's all temporary. Come March 10th, in all likelihood, the season's over. And we can kind of move past this real rough stretch of college basketball for Syracuse. It'll be 5 years at the end of the season that they've missed the NCAA tournament. It'll be the first time they've missed 5 consecutive NCAA tournaments since, the 60s? Before Danforth? And so the least that us as a fan base can ask for, and I think it's completely justified to ask for, is a palpable effort and sense of energy and leadership out of these players. Donnie Freeman in particular. I thought it was borderline embarrassing when he fouled out of the North Carolina game, and he was throwing a fit, to be honest with you. I get it. The refs were certainly not on Syracuse's side that night, but even God himself was not going to save Syracuse from that one-sided game. And no one can save a team when their leader gets frustrated and gives up. after a bad shooting night. You just can't have that happen. You've got to have a guy that's willing to just keep chugging. But then again, there's a ton of pressure on these kids. They're young. It's a new world, the wild, wild west of college basketball. So my final key is to try. Let's see a palpable, gritty effort from Donnie Freeman and the boys tonight. How about that? All right, up next, we'll get to our Upstate Import starting lineups. Plus, it's everyone's favorite segment. We'll talk about who's bringing the meat. Don't make it weird. All right, this is the Burdick Toyota pregame show on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Syracuse. You're listening to ESPN Radio.
Did you miss Drive Time with Tim Leonard? Well, here's what you missed.
News comes out late last week that Wayne Tinkle has been let go at Oregon State, and there's a lot of reaction online when that news came out. Why can't Syracuse do this? I thought firing a coach in season is not possible and doesn't happen. But if we actually realistically think about this, there's really zero pros to firing Coach Autry right now.
Drive Time with Tim
those boys used to scrap. Let me tell you, they're probably getting... Axel sounds way
Syracuse
older,
Bicycle.
too.
Ride bikes, have fun,
even,
feel good. We carry products we love, provide hospitality to our customers, and change the world by getting more people on bikes. Syracuse Bicycle is the locally owned, largest bicycle shop with passionate staff ready to help you have fun and feel good on your new bicycle and e-bike. Test ride top brands today at Syracuse Bicycle. Not everyone can ride.
My bad. But yeah, my bad, Ryan. I think the players have quit on themselves, probably so much inner fighting that there isn't turning back from that. Yeah, I'm just saying it to say it because we all notice it now, but I agree with you, Ryan. I don't expect anything to change tonight. There's no turning back from. What's weird, KP? Super Cat immediately blames it on Pauly. What's up, James? It's weird no matter what. Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, especially when you just say meat exclamation point by itself. All right, let's get the starting lineups pulled up. Play like they care. Beat Pitt at home on Saturday and give Red the respectful send-off he deserves. Exactly. That's what I would like. I hate when schools just don't post their starting lineups. All right, let's see. What is anyone's expectations for Saturday's crowd? 2, maybe 3 people? I actually don't know what to expect. Because it's are people going to pack the house and find an excuse to get together because it's kind of the final hurrah for Autry? And, are they going to band together with their pitchforks and show some collective frustration? Or... Yeah, big for closeout game for Red. Are people going to show up with an oxymoronic positive/negative attitude because they know it's Red's last game and this is a turning point? Show up for the cheerleaders. Mom, what's Toby up to? He's with that. Okay, yeah. I could have guessed that one.
This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
Turning the page to the final chapter of the Burdick Toyota pregame show, and it's the final chapter of a pregame show for the final road game for Syracuse men's basketball this season, unless something crazy happens in the ACC tournament, which I consider neutral territory. Kyle Marchak with you on CuseSportsTalk.com, on Twitch and YouTube if you want to see my gigantic nose and glasses. I look like the fake disguise. You guys know what I'm talking about that you see in cartoons? Anyways, and on 97.7 FM and 100.1 FM local to Syracuse, 96.5 FM in Utica. Thanks for everyone for tuning in and hanging out. Even though it's been a rough job to have, I'll be honest, I'm grateful for this job. But it's a rough job to have, being the pre- and post guy here at ESPN Syracuse for a team that struggled so much this year. But you know what? At this point, at 15-14 overall, they've got pretty much nothing to lose as they pay a visit to the 24th-ranked Louisville Cardinals. And how about we talk about this roster after we give you guys the Upstate Imports starting lineups? Well, Kyle Brown Jr. is out. He's probably the best player for Louisville, second in scoring, and leads the team in assists. His replacement appears to be Javon Hadley, who I've seen play in person, is certainly a reputable player. And they also slide a different forward into the lineup. It's Vangelis Zugris, only 2 points per game. So certainly a weak spot offensively sliding in for Kyle Brown Jr. Adrian Woodley, Isaac McNeely. Yep, that Isaac McNeely, who's still in college basketball, and Ryan Conwell will round out Louisville's starting lineups. And for Syracuse, J.J. Starling, Nate Kings, Nathan George, Donnie Freeman, William Kyle. There you go. Starting lineup for Syracuse. A player we need to perform, a.k.a. who is going to bring the meat. Brought to you by Hoffman Sausage Company. Hoffman Sausage Company has called Syracuse home since 1879. They have more than just hot dogs like German Franks and Snappies. They have amazing sausages to take us through the cold winter months. Jalapeno cheddar, Italian, beer bratwurst, and more. I've never had a beer bratwurst in my life. I want one now, though. I'm actually pretty hungry. I just ordered Chipotle, or Chipotle as the folks like to say. Anyways, the player that needs to bring the meat, J.J. Starling, will be key to protecting the perimeter tonight. That'll be his role. Offensively, of no disrespect to J.J., this is his final road game for Syracuse. I've kind of given up on him offensively. He is extremely unpredictable on how he's going to shoot any given night. So let's just focus on something he can control, which is his perimeter defense. I mean, he's the forefront perimeter defender. We got to see him shut down a lot of three-point opportunities for Louisville. They have one of the best air attacks in all of college basketball. They shoot some of the most threes in the entire league, fourth most in the ACC, 33 three-point attempts every night. And, well, they're pretty efficient from beyond the arc as well. Would like to see a tangible effort out of J.J. Starling, prevent those easy threes from Louisville. That's a guard-heavy offense. So J.J. Starling is the player that needs to perform, a.k.a. Bring the Meat, brought to you by Hoffman Sausage Company. I got a 9 p.m. tip-off on the ACC network, so creeping up on things in just a moment here. So how about we talk about this Louisville squad? Again, one of the main things that I really like about Louisville is that a couple of their players came with their new head coach. Couple of College of Charleston players. It was James Scott was a key player last year. He just finished off his college basketball season. And I'm looking for that other College of Charleston transfer. Let's see. I can't find him. But anyways, yeah, a couple of guys from the College of Charleston came in last year with Pat Kelsey, and that helped kickstart Louisville in their revival. So what I said earlier in the show, Syracuse, take notes. Louisville has provided a really good example for how to revive a dying basketball program. So looking at this starting lineup, very fun roster because there's scorers in double figures up and down the lineup. Ryan Conwell is their team's leading scorer, the 6'4 senior guard. Transfer from Xavier, 18.4 points per game, team leader in scoring and steals. So plays very well in both ways. Certainly a player that can lead this Louisville team in the tournament. They're imminently in the tournament no matter how this season finishes. And what I find really weird is Isaac McNeely is still in college basketball. I don't know why. Like, I know it's only been 4 years, but it feels like it's been forever for this guy. Is it just me? The senior out of transfer from Virginia, 10.5 points per game, still an elite three-point shooter at a 41% clip, a 6'4" senior guard. And then Javon Hadley slides in to the lineup tonight, a transfer from Colorado. It's his second year with Louisville, and he has been bred into a fantastic guard/forward by Pat Kelsey, who's clearly a bright offensive mind. And then their forward, Sanenda Frew, is actually out of the lineup tonight. They decided to go with Vangelis Sugris, the 6'8" forward. So off the bench, that guy is fun to watch too. He's certainly a rim deterrent at 6'11", a transfer from Lauenbraunschweig, Germany. In case you can't tell, I don't know any Deutsch. But 9.7 points per game, 6.4 rebounds. Also a pretty decent shot blocker. He'll give you 1.4 blocks a night. No William Kyle, if you ask me, but still very, very good. So strong roster up and down for Louisville. So that brings us to my final point of the Burdick Toyota pregame show, the final prediction. Louisville 96, Syracuse 75. I have the Cuse losing by 21 tonight, despite Louisville being without their best player, because of no disrespect to Syracuse, it's clear that at this point in the season, the players have given up. It was easy to see that on distinct plays that lacked effort, a visible effort in that loss at Wake, which was probably the easiest quad one opportunity Syracuse had all season. And I expect it to be no different tonight, unfortunately. But I want Syracuse to surprise me. 9 p.m. tip-off of the ACC Network. I have Syracuse losing by 21. So, bettors, you know what to do with the spread. But hey, let's see Syracuse pull one off. All right, thank you guys for hanging out with me for this hour. Post-game show coming up 5 minutes after the final buzzer. But for now, Kyle Marchak signing off from downtown Syracuse. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours for the post-game show. You are listening to ESPN Radio.
This is Orange Nation.
Just did a fit check at the hotel room.